In this episode, Luffy shows up, finds an abandoned whale, decides he's its dad now.
Welcome to the journey. Welcome to the crew. We think we're pretty funny, and we hope that you will too. This is the opening song to season 2. It's where the journey really starts because we've made it out of East Blue. We've got our snacks and we've got our friends. Now it's time to discuss the anime that never ends. Yeah! Start the show!
Hello, fellow adventurers of the Grand Line. Welcome to episode 29 of King of the What Now, a podcast where we discuss the anime One Piece. And for once, we're actually in the Grand Line. I came up with that punchline, that intro, 28 episodes too early. We are there, and I am here, and we're all here together. I'm Joel, the host, longtime fan. Also, I've secretly been the head of the Alabasta security team this whole time, and no one knew.
What?
Absolutely. With me, as always, is Curtis.
Yes, I am the co-host, Curtis. I am a doctor who apparently misunderstood what they meant by internal medicine in doctor school.
Wait, could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm helping out my whale friend from the inside.
Oh, I see. It was an inside job. And with us is our third host?
Ghost. I don't know. I thought you might want to do some weird thing.
Baba baba baba, baba baba baba, baba baba bobby, pastrami!
And the ghost has appeared! I'm Kat, but my secret Baroque's agent name is Miss Plorsday, the secret 8th day of the week.
And what is your weapon of choice in the Baroque works?
My weapon of choice is just a sack of cats.
Oh,
because unlike Mondays, cats love Plorsday.
Oh no.
Also, Plorsday is the only day of the week when if you see a rainbow, it shows with the secret 8th. Well, I guess now there's only 6 colors in the rainbow. I think science just likes cutting things out. First it was Pluto, and there was one of the colors of the rainbow. Anyway, on Plor's Day, you also get the hidden 7th color, Fustachio, at the end of the rainbow.
You brought back Fustachio! I'm so proud of you!
Yes, that's an inside joke that everyone here is going to be able to... But
also,
anyways...
that's the only day of the week when edamame is a flavor.
It becomes the secret 6 flavor profile. It all comes full circle here.
All of the mistakes that we've made in the past are true on Plor's Day. They are no longer mistakes.
That's right. We've got jokes. We've got the secret third co-host, who's not a secret anymore. We've got Grand Line episodes. We're back in canon territory, and I am raring to go. But before we can get this underway, we are going to hit up Curtis for a succinct summary.
I don't know about succinct, but it'll be a summary.
We don't need a play-by-play.
For the first shot, we open up to...
It zooms down. Lens flare. J.J. Abrams guest stars in this episode as an editor of this.
Can I clarify? Can I clarify what counts as succinct? So Harry Potter, boy becomes a wizard. Is that the kind of thing
succinct.
You're looking for? Okay.
But Harry sits down. He has a conversation with Ron. Ron is worried about his marriage with who did Ron end up with? Hermione. But anyways, that's a little bit too much, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So first of all, they get to the Grand Line. And they immediately run into a giant whale that eats them. Inside the whale, they meet an old man who's a doctor who's helping the whale, it turns out, because the whale likes to bash his head against the red line because of reasons that are important we'll talk about later.
Yeah, we can circle back on that.
Yeah, I mean, basically he got left there by some friends and they never came back. The doctor is helping him with the pain and trying to get him to calm down and stop running into the red line. We also meet 2 other characters.
Jesse and James.
Yeah, Jesse and James.
That's basically, but it's Miss Wednesday is a lady with blue hair, and I like her character design, and then Mr. Nine, who has a crown on his head and looks a bit like the Burger King, one of us noticed.
Yeah, and then the doctor's name is
Crocus.
Crocus?
Yeah. Just remember, if you can't focus, your focus is Crocus. That's a strong bad reference from years and years ago.
Okay, Crocus. All right. They end up getting out of the whale. Luffy befriends the whale by beating the snot out of it. Then they promise they'll come back because apparently this whale is just destined to get promises from pirates leaving him there. And they leave with their newfound knowledge of how to navigate the Grand Line from Crocus, along with a
log pose
that'll help them navigate. It's like a compass, but not.
We can talk about the mechanics of it,
Yeah.
but basically it's a way to get from one island to the next, and if they didn't have that, they would have just been lost at sea forever.
Yes, but that's not part of my succinct summary, Joel. So they go to the island of choice to drop off these two folks that they picked up, who are very sketchy, but Luffy is Luffy, so they go and take them there anyways. The island is Cactus Island. The town is Whiskey Peak.
Yes.
It's not like Twin Peaks at all. And there's no whiskey apparently either. They get there, people are happy for the pirates.
These
showing
people love the crap out of pirates. They're selling pirates accessories. They're binge watching all their favorite pirate shows.
Yeah.
Some of them are cosplaying as Johnny Depp, as Jack Sparrow.
No.
For a
Just as
second,
Johnny Depp.
Okay.
And so they get there, and then they have a big party. A bunch of them get inebriated or too full, and they fall asleep. And then it turns out none of these people are actually just like people. They're a bunch of bounty hunters who want to capture the pirates and get their bounty.
They're specifically working with Miss Wednesday and Mr. 9. And now we meet two more members, Mr. 8 and Miss Monday. Thank you.
Who is a buff lady. That's
She's
not
a
relevant,
very big
but-
lady. But anyway, so it turns out they're all in on it. They're all part of something bigger.
Yeah. Luckily, Zoro knew something was going on. Apparently Nami too, but Nami spends her time just wandering around the town looking for treasure. Meanwhile, Zoro, who knew there was something going on, wakes up and decides he's going to fight all these bounty hunters. He successfully takes out most of the bounty hunters, including Miss Monday.
Yep.
Who is bigger and buffer than Zoro,
Yes.
but he still outmatches her just from like a pure show of strength. Like no sword skill involved at all. He just literally like crushes her head in his hand, and she lets go of him.
To be clear, not crushes like kills, but
yeah.
puts her in a grip that is so painful that she passes out.
Yeah, exactly. And then two more people show up. It's Mr.
He's 5. He has the 5 written
Yeah.
on his jacket, and she's Miss Valentine.
Yes.
And she looks like a lemon.
She does not look like a lemon. She's dressed in lemons.
I thought it was a lime. Wasn't it green?
No.
It was yellow. Art, your color blindness has struck again.
I thought it was lime green. Okay.
She's dressed in citrusy flavor. Like that's all we really. It doesn't really
Yeah.
matter. They're not going to defeat her by being like, she loves lemons. Her weakness must be limes. That's spoiler. Not how they do it.
Yeah, so anyways, they show up, and they're here, because apparently, like, the lower down the number is, and I'm assuming once you get into, like, holidays instead of days of the week, the more powerful you are, the higher ranking you are, and the Baroque organization, which is what all these people are part of, they show up because they find out there are traitors in their midst. And the traitors are actually Mr. 8 and Miss
Wednesday.
Who are actually from Alabasta. And that's where the episode ends.
Woo!
Which
awesome.
is great. That's a great... Because Luffy was like, I'm gonna take these people, and Usopp was like, but they're really sketchy. And Luffy was like, no, it's fine. Luffy has this weird sixth sense about people, so I think the moment he met with Wednesday, he was like, she's a friend.
Well, not only that, it's interesting. The reason that Miss Wednesday and Mr. 9 give for showing up and trying to attack the whale, Laboon, is they need more meat for their hometown. They don't have a lot of food. And there's a scene where it shows the Baroque Works people of Whiskey Peak talking when they think that everyone's asleep. And they mention the food shortage. That was not some cover story. They actually need that thing. So even though they're bad guys, there is a little bit of we're in hard times, and I think that Luffy could kind of sense that there was real desperation behind their actions. And so I agree that Luffy, he kind of had a sixth sense about it. Not only that, but when you land on, I think it's called Twin Capes, is like it's not exactly a town, there's only one person there, Crocus, but when you get to the bottom of the reverse mountain and you're officially in the Grand Line, and you get a log pose, you can go to one of 7 places, one of 7 islands, but once you go to that island, you're stuck on that path, and they eventually all converge on Raftel, something else we need to talk about in a little bit. But Luffy didn't get a chance to look at the 7 choices and pick. He just went with Whiskey Peak because of what Miss Wednesday, her real name Princess Vivi, because they basically made the choice for her. Sometimes I sit around and I wonder what Luffy's life would be like, what the series would be like if they'd gone on one of the other paths, because they go to some fantastical locations. I'm wondering how fantastical the other locations are that we didn't get to see.
Like maybe there's one path where it's literally just they go to the most mediocre towns ever. They're just like normal places. They like go get groceries and
every village they go to and every island they go to is just varying shades of gray. There aren't 50 of them, to be clear. There are 37, but slightly darker gray than the last one, and then this one is like ash gray, and it's
they're taking
boring.
notes. Like, okay, so you guys are kind of like a sandy gray.
Yeah.
I'm glad you stopped us from making the 50 Shades joke, but I'm disappointed that you had to make it yourself in order to stop us.
If you had to be Mr. Gray will see you now, but instead of Mr. Gray, it was one of the characters, one of the Straw Hat crew members, who do you think would be the most fitting to play the part of that?
You're assuming that I have more knowledge of 50 Shades of Grey.
Which of them do you think would be the sort of person to dominate their partners and psychologically manipulate them into getting what they want?
Luffy.
Zoro! Like, we all have different answers
Well,
here.
here's the thing. So originally I was going to answer Zoro because he's the big muscly guy, or maybe Sanji because he's kind of suave and would look good in a suit. But then you said the thing about psychological manipulation, and that's Nami. That's her whole character.
That's also Luffy. I've made that joke off camera several times because he always knows the first one that comes to mind is Buggy. He purposely calls out Buggy's big red nose and such. And he knew with the whale exactly how to get the whale to try to fight him because it was all part of his plan. Luffy is actually 50 steps ahead of us in the chess game. We just can't tell because he's so goofy all the time.
I think what's going to happen is he's going to get to the end. He's going to become king of the pirates. And suddenly he's going to be like, reveal how intelligent he is. Like, this is my master plan the entire time, and he's the villain of the whole
no, and they
series.
all have to fight him?
Yeah!
His hat gets knocked off during the final battle, and then Nami has the hat, and she goes, "Here you go, Captain." He slaps it out of her hand. He goes, "Dreams? I've never believed in those stupid women."
That's really sad.
That's how he got the scar, because he was actually in gang warfare before he decided to set C's for the
He's
Grand
actually
Line.
much older than he looks.
Because the
27 years
rubber.
old.
Yes, everyone watch Purple Eyes WTF's Nun Piece on YouTube. It has some very good jokes. It does eventually do a crossover with his other series, so be sure to watch Code Ment and Nun Piece, and tell me how well those jokes have aged, because I loved them about 8 years ago, and I haven't gone back and revisited. I wonder if maybe they're not as funny now as they were back then. Okay. I think that about covers all of our kind of collective fanboy and girling about these episodes. Let's get into our usual episodes that I like to ask. Do we have an MVP for these episodes?
Luffy for the first 2, Zoro for the second.
Okay.
I am going to disagree with Curtis slightly. I'm going to say Laboon was the MVP of the first 2 episodes, because he has been waiting for these people for years and years and years, super loyally, and now he's trying to take down an entire mountain by himself so he can be reunited with his friends. That's just really impressive to me.
All right. Could you really quick, because we didn't actually go back and talk about the longer story with Laboon, could you recount that more in-depth analysis? Why is this whale here and why is he sad?
Oh, snap. Absolutely. So, Nope, I gotta back up a second. Laboon is something called an island whale, and those are these giant whales, the biggest whales in the One Piece world, and they live in family groups in the West Blue. And for whatever reason, Laboon didn't have a family when he was a little tiny baby island whale, and he was discovered by a group of pirates. And so he started to travel with them, and they came to the Red Line, and they crossed over into the Grand Line.
Also, I gotta say, we get a flashback of baby Laboon. And let me tell you, I thought Choo Choo, the dog from, I think that was Orangetown, maybe? But anyways, I thought that dog stole my heart. No, that baby whale made me feel feelings for animals that I don't always feel for the actual pets that I have living with me right now.
To be fair, the actual pets bite a lot.
Well, that's true. But yeah, little tiny round boy going, meow, meow, meow.
Anyway, he's very cute. And these pirates who have loved this whale and traveled with him, go, there's no way this tiny baby whale can survive in the Grand Line. So they look at Laboon and they say, Laboon, we know we're the only family you have, and you have no way of getting back to the West Blue from here, but wait here for us, and we'll circle around the world and we'll come back to you. And as far as we can tell, that was 50 years ago, and they never came back.
Well, not only that, but Crocus got it from a quote-unquote reliable source, and the fact that he phrased it so vaguely is interesting. But essentially what they did is they decided to quit being pirates, and they fled into the Calm Belt, so they're not going to be able to go all the way back around, because the only way to get back to Reverse Mountain is to get to the end. And so this whale has been trying to break down the Red Line. It's smart enough to understand human speech. As I've explained before, the animals in One Piece are very intelligent compared to real-life animals in terms of being able to parse speech. And he was basically killing himself because he was ramming his head so hard. And so, as Curtis alluded to, Luffy hurts this whale really bad. He managed to punch it hard, and the whale gets mad and they start fighting, and it's obvious that Luffy's going to lose, but before he can be defeated, he goes, wait, it's a draw. We're rivals now. Wait for me. Promise, put your hopes and dreams on my back, because even if those other guys couldn't do it, I will do it.
It was such a perfect Luffy moment, because he just adopts people, and it's beautiful, and he paints his flag on this whale's face, and then he goes, there, that's a symbol of our commitment to fight each other. You can't ram yourself into the Red Line anymore, because you'll you'll break it, ruin it, whatever word I
it'll
was
smear and that sort of thing. Okay. Curtis, we went a long time without checking in with you. Do you have anything you want to add about that particular part of the story?
Huh? What? What's going on?
There are some really interesting things about the Crocus, Laboon, all of that I want to tackle before we get into the Baroque works kind of quote-unquote real meat of the saga, I guess. When Crocus is talking about the pirates that Laboon traveled with, he mentions that Laboon traveled with, and I quote, a certain group of pirates. And we've seen this phrase before, not a certain group of pirates, but Zoro mentioned that he was looking for, quote-unquote, a certain man. That ended up being Mihawk. That was huge, important information. And I'm almost positive that Nami did something with that similar to Arlong, where she said she was working towards money for a certain goal.
Yeah.
I just want to make this clear in case you weren't watching the episodes along at home and you're relying on only our input, only our observations. If you ever see someone in One Piece comment on something as a certain blank, I ate a certain fruit, I went to a certain town, I loved a certain woman.
From a certain point of view.
No, from every point of view. That is always intentional language, and it means basically Oda has something he's holding on to, he's letting you know it's important, but he's not going to give you the name just yet.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, like, if someone were to say, I'm looking for a certain man, the reason that they phrase it like that and they don't say, I'm looking for Mihawk, is because Oda doesn't want to tell you who Mihawk is yet, but he's going to.
We should also mention that, well, I guess I'm getting ahead.
What do you mean?
So Crocus also gives them a lot of information on the Grand Line, right?
Oh, yes.
Which I think you were getting to.
Yep.
You said, there are different paths you can take, kind of like Star Fox.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. And he explains that all of them converge and eventually lead to one island at the end called... Is it Raftus? Raftel.
I'm so proud of you for getting the first four letters.
I remember Raft now.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not Ratel or
Rotini.
Rotini.
It's not Raphael. It's not one of the four Ninja Turtles just sitting there being like, I'm looking for a certain shredder.
I got it. All paths converge on the final island, Ratatouille.
But yeah, so they all go to Raftel, and I had to stop for a second to make sure I said it right. And supposedly that is where the One Piece is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not confirmed, it's rumor, but...
Crocus specifically says no one but Roger's been there. He's the only man in known history, which I found very interesting. This isn't a spoiler, this is speculation on my part. It hasn't been revealed in the manga. I want to know if there are other people who have made it to Raftel who just aren't famous for having done so. But anyways, he mentions Raftel, and I think it was Luffy, but maybe it was Usopp. Someone says, "Isn't that where the One Piece is?" And Crocus goes, "I don't know. I haven't been there. No one's been there but Roger." And so, interesting. They're planting the seeds that even if you believe in the One Piece as Luffy does, there's no guarantee it's on that island. It's really interesting to consider.
Right. Well, and in the original opening, Gold Roger says, I left it all in that place. And so at this point, we would assume he meant Raftel, but maybe he means his favorite bar.
Well, what if you get there and you get to the island and there's a button, right? I mean, it says, push button. You see, push the button. And then all that happens is a bunch of confetti comes down and, like, streamers, and then, like, some food pops up out of the ground. It says, "Congratulations, you made it," but all the food's rotten because it's been there for, like, 50 years.
He spent all of his money to set up a secret party for whoever gets there next.
Yes. He left it all in one place. There's this party. It would have been wonderful if you had gotten there, like, 50 years ago.
Just to be clear, I think it was 22 years ago that Roger made it and was known as the King of the Pirates.
Oh,
that's
okay.
a specific year that we know in canon. I don't know it off the top of my head. I think it's a little over 20.
All the same, most food probably would have molded a long time ago.
Yeah, I assume so, unless they put it in, like, very carefully wrapped and they refrigerated it or something. Okay. Here's another thing that's kind of interesting about Crocus and Raftel and the final island and all this other stuff. It turns out you need this log post, this special thing that leads you from one island to the next. And they think they get one. They don't think. They get one. They manage to break it because, god dang it, Luffy, can't you please keep your shit together for just one day? No, he can't. But then Crocus goes, I have a log post. I'll let you have it. You seem like good kids. And as they're leaving, Crocus doesn't look at the camera, but he's looking off in the horizon. He goes, "That kid sure is strange. Right? Roger?" Now, I just want to point out, he explicitly calls out a dude named Roger. So there's one of two possibilities. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood for Crocus, and it always is, and he's going to a land of imagination or whatever that show is about. It's been many years since I've seen it. Or, did he know the former king of the pirates? Curtis, I need your thoughts. I need to hear what you thought when you heard that line of dialogue.
Well, now I can't stop thinking about Mr. Rogers.
I guess he said Roger, not Roger, so we know for sure that it's...
Yeah. I'm just gonna draw this out. Okay. Yeah, so, obviously he probably knew Mr. Mr. Gold Rogers. Obviously he knew Gold Roger.
Okay. He did say he was a pirate for a couple of years.
Yeah. He was a ship's doctor, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then on top of that, he was there when the whale got there 50 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Gold Rogers was 22 years ago? So
something
he was
like
probably there when Gold Roger came through.
Oh, yeah, because he came through Logtown and he came through Reverse Mountain. That's awesome.
Yep. So they would have at least had to run into each other.
Okay. And do you think that him giving them their blessing is a very good sign for Luffy? Because, if he knew Roger personally, and he knows Luffy now personally, and he's like, "You have my blessing," I think that's a very good sign.
Yeah, I think so.
And we've already talked about the parallelism between the two. So just put that on the list of ways that Luffy's been compared to Mr. Gold Roger. Someone write me that crossover, please.
Imagine Gold Roger in a sweater vest.
Yeah, he would rock that sweater vest. There are some people who can't, some people who can't.
They go up to execute him. Wait just a second, I gotta change my shoes.
They go up to execute them, they're like, "Sir, we're going to kill you, but please, could you please take off that sweater? It's a national treasure. We're confiscating it for the Marines." Okay, last thing I want to talk about, I think, from my notes, this is the only one on here from that specific part of these episodes that we watched. Crocus said that the pirate group, the certain pirate group that Laboon met and befriended and loved as his own family, were a, quote, good-natured group of pirates. We know that Luffy's pretty good-natured. We've spent some time with him, but we've also met people like Buggy and Kuro and Don Krieg, and I think that's it. I think those are the three big ones that from the pirate side of things. How frequent do you think good-natured pirates exist? Do you think they're very rare? Do you think it's kind of 50-50?
I would assume it's not too rare. Because even like the Buggy Pirates, right? When Buggy, I mean, yes, they were a villain for a certain point, but then we had the filler episode with them, and they seemed kind of like they were having a good time on the island. And
He did seem to care about them a bit, and in a shonen anime, I mean, this probably applies to One Piece, but I can tell you from every other show out there, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Naruto, and Dragon Ball Z, friendship is very important. So the fact that they care about each other does differentiate them from Kuro and Don Krieg, who were willing to kill their own crew members. Buggy would not kill his own crew members, I don't think.
Well, and from what we've seen in the series so far, I think pirates in the One Piece world fall into one of two camps. Either they are pirates who want stuff, or they are pirates who want adventure. And the pirates who want adventure tend to be pretty chill, because why would they run around hurting people? They're just going along on their own adventure.
Yeah, it's sort of like... if you have a particular food if you really like Italian food, there's no need to attack someone.
Burn down a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. You let other people go to the restaurants that they want, you go to the restaurants that you want, and only when someone comes in and is like, I'm gonna rob this Italian place, you go, oh, dude, they make the best calzone. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to beat the crap out of you. I'm gonna be the king of calzone.
sorry,
I threw Curtis off. Go on.
No, I was going to say that I think the adventurer pirates, right, are probably only pirates insofar as they kind of live outside of the system. Right?
They're not a part of societal norms.
I would say that it's fair to talk about this so far. I think we're going to get more evidence of this later. But Luffy is the sort of person who decides he wants to do something, and it doesn't matter if common sense stands in your way. It doesn't matter if an enemy stands in your way. It doesn't matter if rules stand in your way. It doesn't even matter if common sense stands... Did I already list that one? It doesn't matter. He is going to do what he wants, and so I think he's outside the law for that reason, because if the law says, don't take this apple, and Luffy's like, that's a really cool apple. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's about it from... Oh, there is a scene... I guess this is technically between the two arcs, if you want to call them that. The Laboon arc, all 2 episodes of it. But Luffy and Usopp are messing around on the ship, and it's snowing, and Usopp makes a really beautiful snow sculpture, not ice sculpture, and he's like, look at this! He's making fun of Luffy because Luffy's is dumb, but then Luffy makes his attack, and then Usopp gets mad and throws something at Luffy, and I don't know if that's technically filler, because it's right before a scene where it shows how dangerous the seas are in the Grand Line, but that is the filler content that we need. I love the interaction between these characters.
I'm going to call it foreshadowing.
Yeah?
Yes, because Luffy, there's a line when he is done fighting Laboon where he says, I bet you used to spar with your crewmates. You must miss that a lot. And that scene shows Luffy wrestling around with his own crew.
That's true. Absolutely.
Well, it had a very kind of Calvin and Hobbes
Yes.
feel to it, right?
I can see that.
It was very joyful, and they're just kind of goofing around. And...
Well, and there's a reason that Luffy is so, oh my gosh, noteworthy. Everyone who meets him is kind of like, good guys, bad guys, Marines, pirates, anyone who meets Luffy remembers him, and he's remarkable, and I think that his kind of free spirit is part of that. Also, when they land at Whiskey Peak, you'll notice that Luffy and Usopp and Sanji are very much like, oh, a town that likes pirates. Awesome, we're home here. Let's go celebrate. And Nami and Sanji, Zoro and Nami are very much like, this has to be a trap, right? And so I think Luffy and Usopp messing around on the ship is very much so part of that same innocence that would allow them to maybe fall for a trap. Let's say 100 assassins, not assassins, but bounty hunters coming after you. Okay. I don't want to make it feel like I'm kind of controlling the show and I'm calling all the shots. Is there anything that you two would like to talk about from these episodes kind of in general?
Curtis?
Well, I was just following our fearless leader's
Okay.
direction, but
how about this? I'll direct the question a little bit more so. Standout moments, like a really cool moment that you really liked, or where you felt that the show had kind of stepped up a notch.
Oh, well, I don't know about stepped up a notch.
Okay.
But I thought it was funny that, so Zoro, while they're in life-threatening situations dealing with the weather on the Grand Line, just takes a nap the whole time, and then wakes up, and everyone's asleep, and he's like, why are you all sleeping?
Quit messing around!
But then later on, he's the one that's well rested enough to go out and fight all the assassins.
Absolutely. I made a mental note, didn't write it down in my physical notes, but I made a mental note that they really stepped up the humor in these episodes. There was Zoro taking a nap while everyone's running around for their lives. The characters that have shown up for the Baroque works and Laboon, they're very recognizable, very flamboyant characters, and the word Baroque for the Baroque works is talking about a time in history. I don't remember all the notes off the top of my head, but basically where things were kind of flamboyant and show-offy, but it was really cool. They had a running joke when Crocus first showed up where he walked out of the house and he had these really angry eyes, and it was what do you call that, like jump shots?
Jump cuts,
Jump cuts, but it shows a jump cut where it shows like a far out point of view, and then it shows Crocus's eyes, and then it zooms out again, zooms in, zooms out, and every time it does, it makes this loud boom sound, so it's boom, 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 boom. And like the third time this happens, the Straw Hats literally break the fourth wall and go, "Would you stop doing that?" And he goes, "Haven't you ever heard of a repeated gag?" They I used the word step up a second ago because these episodes do feel like they've stepped up a notch from the East Blue stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we were introduced to a new group of bad guys, and I think this is the first time we've had an entire organization be the bad guys. Before, we've just had individual groups of pirates.
Even Dawn Krieg, if you were to fight them, I feel like each of the ships would show up. They didn't have, like, individual units, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this is our first big criminal organization, and I'm curious what you think about that, Curtis. And I'm also curious to know if you have any predictions for how this Baroque Works arc will go on.
Well, initially my thought was just, it's like a criminal organization, right? Kind of whatever. I think it's interesting that somebody from... So at the end, we find out that two of the people were undercover from the Alabasta kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it seem like, so it's not just like a criminal organization. They're like a major player in the area, right? So I think that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting more to like it's more political.
Yes.
Okay. I could agree with that. The other thing, too, in the East Blue Saga, which we just finished, you had Luffy arriving and helping Zoro, and then Luffy arriving and helping Sanji and Luffy, and the only thing that really connected the islands was the Straw Hat, the characters themselves, but it's not like they showed up on the island where Zoro's being held captive, and it turned out the only way to free him was to go to another island where the key was being held. Each arc was kind of its own individual thing, and there weren't villains that were defeated and came back, or almost defeated and came back, or they never defeated the number 2 in command, then had to go fight the number 1 at a later location. The only thing like that was Nami a bit, but even that was more just foreshadowing and background details.
Mm-hmm.
We have now been through one arc, I guess. It's only 2 episodes, but whatever, the Laboon arc. We've now been through to 2 separate locations that are connected not just by the fact that our heroes went there, but by the characters having belonged to a different organization.
Mm-hmm.
This truly is one of the only sagas where each of the islands are connected in that way. I don't think they ever go to a place that doesn't have some tangential connection to the Baroque Works organization.
Yeah. It's interesting, too, that they're at the beginning of the Grand Line, because I'm curious to see if they exist through the whole Grand Line, or if they're just there near the beginning, or, in what area they occupy.
Okay, sure.
Really? Oh, go ahead, babe.
I was just going to say I agree. I have another plan, but I'm tired of talking.
Yes, really.
I'm done talking for the day, peasants! Discuss my opinions!
Oh, goodness. So, really quick, we discussed literally every member of the Baroque Works that we met, except for the Unluckies. Curtis, do you remember who the Unluckies are?
The Unluckies were Mr. 13 and Miss Friday, who were an otter.
Yes.
And
The
a
otter,
vulture.
I believe the vulture is the miss. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean...
Who cares?
Yeah. The point is they are Friday the 13th, and they are the Unluckies, and apparently they go around and, police the other people, it seems like.
Right, so Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine?
Yep.
Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine weren't doing their job. They hadn't killed the whale fast enough, and so the Unluckies showed up and dropped a bomb on them. And that's why they didn't have a ship and had to travel with Luffy and Sanji and whatever.
Yes, and all of
Were
them.
they in a ship at that time? I think they were just floating in the water.
The point is that they are the punishment branch of the...
Yeah. No, the only reason I mentioned this because I noticed in the scene where they're like, it's like them and they're bobbing up and down.
Mm-hmm.
They're unnaturally high, and I was like unnaturally high in the water, and I was like, I swore they were just sitting in the water. How is it that like they're not submerged up to their necks? I'm very confused right now.
Well, and so later the Unluckies show up again, presumably to punish the people who are failing at their jobs. But then right after that, Mr. Five and Miss Valentine show up.
Yep.
So I'm curious to know, like, was there just a lack of internal communication? Did they not know that people were already there punishing them?
Here's what I think. I think the Unluckies can recognize failure on a regular level. I tell Curse to go buy me my favorite
Ice cream.
Doritos, right? And he goes and he comes back and he brings back Ruffles. The Unluckies would be like, no, that's not what your job was, and so Curse would get punished. Mr. Five and Miss Valentine are there specifically for something much deeper that is part of a larger investigation, I suppose.
That's fair, yeah.
Also, given that we were told that the lower the number, not the higher, but the lower the number, the stronger you are, I don't think the Unluckies are that strong. So I think when it comes to we need to capture this princess and we need to capture this guy who can shoot bullets out of a saxophone. That was the instrument, right? Saxophone?
Yeah.
Okay. But anyways, when it comes to we need to handle these guys, let's bring in the big guns. Let's bring in... While we're on the subject, I gotta say, my brain works in a funny way. I don't like it when a villain is partially defeated and then they come back and they have to be defeated multiple times and they haven't gotten stronger or anything like that. I just want to be able to cross a name off my list and say we're done with it. Also, there should be a natural progression. All right, we beat the number 9 person. All right, we beat the number 8 person. We've now gotten 9 and 8, and then we skip 7 and 6 in order to go straight to 5? Curtis, do you have a prediction about how that might play out? Do you think that 5 might be too strong for the Strats at this point?
Well, Zoro took out 5, so... No.
5
Zoro
was...
took out Miss Monday.
Who is on the same level as 8. And then at the end of the episode, the new guys who have shown up, the kiwi citrus person, and the guy in the jacket, they're higher. But if they do beat those two at this point in the game, what's even the point of having 7 and 6 show up? Because they're also going to get defeated.
Well, depends on their specific powers in that, and how they strategize, and how many people are there, and...
I do wonder if it's just to add flavor to the organization, like to give you the sense that it's really big, but not to necessarily make you have to sit through, okay, we defeated number 7, now we're going to number 6.
You don't want it to feel too formulaic, absolutely.
Exactly. There's a very specific trap that I've noticed a lot of shonen anime falls into, where you get a big organization and then you defeat guys 1 through 5, but then there's a secret 5 guys who are stronger than that, and it's never ending and it's terrible. So I'm glad we're not seeing that here.
All right, fair enough. The other thing that I want to point out, they don't say this explicitly, but let me explain. So the guys are numbered just numbers, right? You have 13, 12, 11, 10, all the way up to 1. The women are named after either days of the week if they're below a certain threshold, or holidays if they're above a certain. That's why we have Miss Valentine. And the way the holidays work in Oda's, the way he chose why Valentine's paired up with 5, and when you meet the other holidays, why they're paired up with their partners, is specifically based off of how big that holiday is. There are a lot of people that like Halloween, but commercially in the United States, Christmas is a much bigger holiday. So if we had a Miss Halloween and a Miss Christmas would rank higher for that exact reason. But, spoiler alert, some of the holidays are named after Japanese holidays.
Yeah.
So when they show up, just know that there is a consistency to the naming scheme.
Yeah.
Also, I just realized this on this watch through. The ones who are named after days of the week, the earlier in the week they are, the stronger they are. So the person paired up with 13 was Friday, because Friday is weaker
later
than
in the
Monday.
week. Okay.
And I was going to say, it seems like it's not a 1-for-1 correlation. So, like, because 8 or 9 is teamed up with Wednesday, so you think Friday then would be 11, but it's 13.
Yep.
So it's not a guarantee.
I actually lost my mind just a little tiny bit. I forget which ones are paired up which ones. I can name most of the members off the top of my head. I just forgot that 8 was... but we met 9, who is paired up with Wednesday, and then we met 8, who is paired up with Monday. Where is Tuesday? Where is our Tuesday representation? Where is she going to be a taco lady?
I ate her.
Wow, because she was a taco.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tacos are delicious.
Tacos, yeah.
She's gone now.
Okay.
She was a anthropomorphic taco.
Curtis, you mentioned the idea of Baroque works as a political figure because this princess of this random country is involved with whatever they're doing.
Whoa. The Saga's named after. We'll get into that in a second. Sorry, go on.
So I was going to ask, why do you think Alabasta is interested in Baroque works? What do you think's going on there?
I don't have enough information yet.
This is a completely open-ended question. You and I are on the same wavelength, and you're going to say the same basic thing. Make something up.
Well, because I mean, I don't have enough information on Alabasta. All
Okay.
I know is that, so if you want me to, like, based off the information I have right now, I would say that they're a criminal organization and these people represent the legitimate government of the Alabasta Kingdom, so they want to take out the criminal
So
organization.
you think
but
the
that's
criminal
boring.
organization is affecting this country somehow?
Yeah. My assumption is that odds are the criminal organization is big enough that it's basically operating as another country, right? And because it's a criminal organization, they're probably not really in a negotiating mood with Alabasta, and there's some sort of conflict there. So they're probably infiltrating it, trying to take it down.
Let me ask you this question in a slightly different way. And again, if you don't have enough information, that's fine. If you were a criminal organization, how would you pick a particular country to target? If you had to pick just one
Whoever
country.
had the most money.
Okay.
But another possibility too is that they could be like maybe the Baroque took over, and so she's been in hiding or something, right?
Okay.
So
Fair enough.
Ooh, I like that.
Did you have something you wanted to say?
that was it.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we got all of our thoughts out. I would hate for you to tweet later, God dang, people wouldn't let me talk about my frickin' Sanji X Miss Monday fanfic. I don't know.
That woman would crush him.
Yes.
This Friday.
The first thing that we saw with Miss Monday, the very first time we saw Miss Monday outside, because she was disguised as a nun, which is interesting. There are nuns in One Piece. We don't have time to talk about it right now. But the first thing we said when she revealed her actual outfit, when she's not in disguise, was, wow, look at those thighs, because she could crush an ordinary man with those
So
powerful
muscular.
thighs.
It also opened on the thighs. So they wanted you to know about the thighs.
Most important. Okay. This is another open-ended question, and I know you don't have enough information, but kind of using your own preferences and other anime that you've watched, do you have any thoughts on what the boss of the Baroque works might be like? Do you see them as a cunning figure like Kuro? Do you see them as a flashy person like a stronger version of Buggy? Do you see them as a might makes right type of person like Don Krieg? Some new category?
I really hope that, much like My Hero Academia, the head of Baroque is someone who is seemingly non-dangerous,
Okay.
just by appearances, right? I want it to be like a small furry animal.
Oh my
yes.
god, can you imagine if, like, they open the door, they see the shadowy figure sitting in the chair, they go, finally, we've found you, the lights come on, and it's a ferret.
Let me make this promise right here, right now on mic. If you follow us on Twitter or on Tumblr or you want to send us an email, keep me to this promise. When we get to the end of the Alabasta arc, and we may or may not, Alabasta Saga, and we may or may not know who the head of Baroque Works is, if it's not some kind of an animal, that is going to be Fanfic Friday for that week. It has to be. That's the only logical way. They'll have like a top hat or a monocle, maybe both. A penguin with a cape would be pretty great. But anyways, I'm getting too excited.
Baroque Works, we've seen so far, has a pattern of male and female paired together. So do you think that the head of Baroque Works is one person, a boss, or do you think it's like an evil twins kind of situation?
Or a king and queen, they could be lovers.
That's true, they could be.
I think it's one person.
Okay.
Just because they referred to them as the boss. So my assumption is it's a singular person that they're talking about.
Also, to extrapolate from previous data that we have not run into a situation where there are two villains on equal footing. There is always a clear number one. Sometimes they have a strong number two. Django, the acrobat guy from Buggy. But there's never just two equals. Luffy can't punch two people at the same time. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but it would be so cool if there was. Also, obviously, I know how this ends. I'm just speculating.
Have you seen later in the series? That's crazy.
Babe, I hate to tell you this, but we're all caught up on the series. We have been for like a year and a half.
You were there when I read the latest chapter.
I was.
Okay, interesting.
To be clear, I was not.
No. Curtis doesn't know anything that's going on. He's
I don't
never
know
seen
anything at all, really.
I'm
surprised I can drink water without dying.
Curtis was not there when I was in high school, and we were on 2 sagas past this, and I showed him one of the fights from that particular arc. He was not there. That was someone else with the same name and same appearance as this Curtis, but not the memories.
I have a fun story related to that, and I promise I'll be brief because we don't want to go off on a tangent. But when we were going through a much later arc, you and I.
Okay, I just want to be clear for our listeners.
When Joel and I were going through an arc much, much later in the series, he was really excited for a scene that was coming up, but he didn't want to show it to me because then it would be spoiled for when I got there. So eventually he got so impatient and so tired of waiting that when Curtis came over, he kicked me out of the room, he played the scene for Curtis, and then he went, "How cool was that?" And I just think it's really funny because Joel has shown you all of this stuff, Curtis, but the chances of you remembering any of it is very low.
Mm-hmm. I will also say, I've had this problem happen to me a lot, and I've had this problem. I've been both the receiver of this and also the propagator of this. If you watch a scene, let's go to My Hero Academia for a second, because I'm free to spoil that to you, Curtis, because you and I are both caught up on that. But the scene where Midoriya and Bakugo fight in, like, episode 5 or 6, I think it is, if you watch that episode on your own, there's some good cinematography, there's some interesting, how are they going to use their powers and such. But if you go back and watch from the beginning and then you get to that scene, so much more impactful. So, yeah, maybe you could remember some details if you really thought about it, thought really hard. Maybe the outcomes of certain fights are known. But once we get there and you have all the emotions, my God.
Yeah, it's like the walk to Arlong Park is a lot more meaningful.
Yes.
You've seen everything up until then.
Yep.
Joel and I actually have a secret pool going on which scene in this show will make you cry first. It wasn't the Laboon one, so we can mark that off the list. But we're waiting. We're waiting to get there.
Okay.
It's when you find out about Miss Valentine's tragic backstory of how she's asked out so many men and they've all just turned her down. And she literally will die if she doesn't have a husband by the age of 30. And she's 29, so she's desperately running out of time.
You're joking? I could easily see that being a One Piece character.
Yeah, especially if they were like a princess of some nation. They'd have some archaic rule or something.
Yeah.
Okay. We are running out of time. Unfortunately, we don't have as much time to record today as we normally do. So I'm going to do 2 quick thoughts. First, there's a scene where Zoro, it's when Zoro wakes up and everyone's passed out and he's like, "Guys, come on, what the heck?" And he's kind of berating them for it. There's a scene with Nami standing like above him when he's kneeling and she glows orange. Like, it looks kind of like fire behind her, and she tells Zoro off, and then Zoro kind of glares at her, and he glows green. Whether that comes back or not, that is a great anime trope, and I'm just so happy that we have this one scene that we can look at and say, look, Nami was basically doing the Kaioken from Dragon Ball Z, or she was powering up or something.
Well, I thought that was about to lead into something like, whoa, the grand line, our emotions, like, our aura shows up around us, or something weird like that.
There's rainbows in the air.
That's actually how you know when you're near the emotion fruit user, is because your emotions start to become more visible. And yes, that means that when you're angry, your punches hit harder, but there's no way that they can hide because everyone around you is just going to start glowing, that sort of thing. Okay, that was a quick thought. Just wanted to mention that one scene. It's between Laboon and the Whiskey Peak, so if you're looking for it, I think that's the end of episode 63. Here's something that's going to be a little bit more discussion-based.
Thought number 2.
Thought number 2, yes, thank you. The Baroque Works people, when they're talking before Zoro shows up. Sorry, I have an actual thought number 2. It's very quick.
Okay.
Zoro showing up and being like, "Oh, I've been listening to you this whole time. I was faking." And he draws his sword and he goes, "We're going to fight now." A++. Like, that was an amazing voice delivery, awesome animation, and it was great build up for the next episode.
Yes.
Kicked butt of hundreds of people all
Just
by
100.
himself.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yes.
Okay, thought number 2.0 done. Thought number 2.5.
Okay, this is going to be the discussion question, the final one of the episode. The Baroque Works people are talking when they think Zoro's passed out, and they say, be sure to capture them alive. The bounty goes down by 30% if the person is brought in dead, even if they're wanted dead or alive. And they prefer to do public executions. Curtis, I am dying to hear your thoughts on that.
No, it makes sense, because they want to make an example of the pirates, right? So and it fits what we know of the Marines and that, so...
I'm going to bring this back. It goes back directly to Axan Morgan. I think that there's a reason he's the first Marine that we meet in the series, because Morgan is the craving of power, the desire to show power without having actual power. And I think that represents not all of the Marines, because there's people like Kobe. Smoker doesn't seem to be about power exactly, but the majority of them, they want to show their strength. And so if they say, the nefarious pirate...
Ganzak.
Yeah, the notorious pirate Ganzak has been defeated, and someone goes, who did it? Bounty hunters? It doesn't make the Marines look good, and so it's very interesting that they slipped that detail in there. I've forgotten that they explicitly called that out in the series, and wow, what amazing world building there. We also didn't talk about our sponsor for the week. Catherine, I believe that they reached out to you this time.
They did. So, Joel, I love slorping.
Okay.
I just love slorping stuff up.
You just can't get enough of it, right? You slurp on Mondays, you slurp on Tuesdays, and then on Plor's Day, you get to slurp twice as hard.
Yes, exactly. You know me so well. So this company reached out and asked me to demo their product, the Slorpomatic.
Is it an audio friendly demo, or are you going to demo for me and I'm going to just have to react to it?
I think for the sake of our listeners, I will keep the demo off mic. But let me tell you, this product has changed my life. Sometimes you just don't have time to slurp the way you'd like to, and that is when the Slorpomatic comes into play. It gets that sweet, sweet slurping done for you, so you don't have to.
That's amazing. Give me 1 second, I'm going to turn off the mic, and we'll be right back after I've seen this demo. Click. All right, and we're back. Holy crap, this product is going to change your life. They have automatic slurping. They have semi-automatic slurping. They have targeted slurping? I didn't even think that was possible. Science has found a way to go above and beyond our expectations. Not only that, but it comes in 3 great, I don't want to say flavors, that's not the right way.
Colors.
Colors, yeah. They've got jazzy blue
Flavors for my
slurping.
eyes.
If you want to glow orange like Nami, you want the feisty orange Slurpomatic. If you want to be awesome and you want to be really cool and have people love and adore you, you want the cool blue jazzy Slurpin.
And if you're emo, you can have the mopey, dark gray Slurpomatic.
Right, which only
Slurp
works
in the
stronger.
shadows.
Yes, and it slurps better at nighttime. It slurps better when you're watching those awesome, edgy, amazing anime that other people just don't get because they're not as cool as you. And it works better when you're playing metal music. So
Joel, I'm actually looking at the ad copy here, and they have a jingle. They asked us to sing here. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to do it, or should I?
All right, let me see here. Schlorp all day, schlorp all night. It's time to go and schlorp away. All your pain and all your pleasure can be magnified by the Schlorpomatic.
That was great. I didn't think that you were going to do it. I was going to do it. I had one, but I really liked what you came up with.
All right. So if you just want to get your schlorp on, be sure to reach out to us on Twitter or Tumblr, and you can let us know your thoughts on the product, or if you're interested in any of those 4 flavors that we mentioned.
The Slurpomatic, it's Slurptastic.
Okay. We are now at the end of our episode. We don't have enough time to discuss other things. I know I joked about how this series has multiple points where you could say, this is where the series starts for real, but really, the theme and the tone of these episodes it's just completely different for me. Maybe it's because we've spent the last couple of days in Filler Town, but I love these 4 episodes.
I'm so glad we escaped from Mirage Island.
The moment where Zoro is sitting on top of a building moon behind him, pulling his sword out of his sheath with blood in his eyes. That is the moment we know we've hit real One Piece.
Also, that's the moment Zoro is confirmed for werewolf. Bam, bringing it back.
Okay, everyone, and have a great day. Which of you wants to sign us off?
Outro goes here!
Blorf.
In this episode, Kara deserved better.
He's an idiot.
He's a duck!
So ends the next leg of the King of the What Now adventure. We're sad to see you go, but we'll be here next week. If you crave some social interaction with us in the meantime, you can find us on all sorts of different media. We have Gmail, Patreon, and Tumblr. All of those are King of the What Pod. King of the What Pod at gmail.com, patreon.com/King of the What Pod, kingofthewhatpod.tumblr.com. Our Twitter handlers are a little bit different. You can reach me at KOTWN_pod.
And you can contact me, Curtis, at Pirate Co-host. Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go.
Thanks so much for giving us a listen. Until next time, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, it doesn't need to be literal treasure.